What a night, right? So that's how we're going to do it every single week, right here, Wednesday nights. And this is the truth. When I say we are NXT, you are part of that. We are all NXT. I promise you, every week, we will give you every bit of passion, blood, sweat, and tears that we have. Everyone back here will give it all to you if you give it all back to us. I am counting on you. There are certain people in life that you want in a foxhole with you. Every single one of you I want in the foxhole with us. Be here every week and let's show the world that we are NXT. Stand on your feet. Show the world who you are. Show the world every Wednesday the brand that you created. Stand up and tell the world that we are NXT.
You know, a lot of people always ask me, why do I love NXT so much? What is it about NXT that drives you to the product, to praise the product with so much positivity, whereas on Monday and Tuesday night, you're overly negative and you lead with negativity. On Wednesday, you lead with positivity. You see, some people have a very difficult time answering these type of questions. It's very simple to me. When you ask me a question like, JD, what's your favorite band? Alter Bridge and Symphony X. JD, what's your favorite song? Blackbird by Alter Bridge. JD, what's your favorite beer? Omegang, Three Philosophers. JD, who's your favorite baseball player of all time? Greg Maddux. Greg Maddux. Who's your favorite wrestler of all time? Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker. Can't really pick one between the two, but they're two of my favorite wrestlers of all time. JD, what's your favorite pay-per-view of all time? The 1993 King of the Ring. JD, what's your favorite match of all time? WrestleMania 25, The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. Why do you love NXT so much? Guys, it's simple. It's simple. It's just cool. It's cool just like the other side of the pillow. I don't feel embarrassed when I watch NXT. I don't feel insulted when I watch NXT. So many times I've watched Monday Night Raw or SmackDown Live with somebody sitting right next to me, and I feel like I should be the one walking out of the room because I'm embarrassed by what I am watching. I'm embarrassed to say I watch and enjoy WWE. It's the truth. I don't feel insulted when I watch NXT, whereas I am insulted watching Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live. I love NXT because the people running the show actually give a shit about what they're presenting, and they give a shit about what the fans are thinking of the show. All of this, you accumulate all of this, and that's a good reason why I love NXT. It gives you what you want. Shows the fan base that those running the show legitimately care about the people watching the show every single week. And the funny thing is, people who constantly tell me that what NXT does is cater to a niche audience, those are the same people who are now singing the praises of NXT as if they were totally behind it from the very beginning, because now they just moved to the USA Network and are now live on the USA Network at 2 hours. You were not behind it from the very beginning, and you always criticized me for watching what is the indies, or watching guys on NXT who are nothing more than vanilla midgets or independent wrestlers not good enough to make the WWE main roster. Now, everything seems to be changing. Everything seems to be changing. The landscape of WWE seems to be changing, and now that NXT is getting the spotlight that they deserve on the USA Network, now all those skewed opinions where they look down upon NXT are now looking up at NXT just to be on the bandwagon with everybody else who's already been on this ride along with Triple H. You prefer the nauseating garbage on Monday and Tuesday night that insulted your intelligence. Things are changing, not only in pro wrestling, but in WWE. NXT has been, always will be, especially in the WWE, the model in which all shows should be emulated. Wednesday proved that. The reaction from people on social media, the numbers that I seen on my NXT review after 24 hours, the numbers that they pulled in for 1 hour on the USA Network on their debut night, proved that. The talent proved that. You will constantly be reminded of this weekly. Just keep that in mind. Wednesday was an important day, guys. It was a day that a lot of people were also afraid of, but it was a very important day. They were afraid because with this move of NXT to the USA Network, there came uncertainty. There came a certain fear. People were afraid because we've been so invested in something and we've loved this one thing for so long that it rarely has done anything wrong in the eyes of what they've presented on TV, in the eyes of the fans, has rarely needed any changes, and it was undergoing the biggest change of all. National spotlight. They were being moved off the WWE Network and they were being moved to the USA Network, and with a move to the USA Network comes more suits and ties, probably muddying up the product. Moving the brand to USA Network probably means Vince McMahon and his team get involved because NXT is going to be put in a war with competition who is targeting WWE in general. And everybody thought that Vince McMahon was not going to step away and that he would be right there with Triple H running NXT, ultimately ruining what we've loved so much for so many years about NXT. With that national spotlight comes the changes that need to appeal to a larger audience. We were all worried that NXT was going to sell out. We were all afraid that NXT was probably going to pull a Metallica when they went from And Justice for All to the Black Album, from the Black Album to Load and Reload. Nobody wanted that. After Wednesday night, I think those fears were all put to rest, at least for right now, with a war cry that you heard in the beginning of this podcast from Triple H as he addressed the NXT fan base. I don't call them a universe because they are not. I am not a part of a universe, nor do they need to resort to using cheesy terms to differentiate themselves from others who might be similar in the same business. And said Triple H that NXT is here because of people like you and I. That's the way a leader leads. That's the way a leader shows appreciation to the men and women in his locker room. That's the way a leader addresses the fan base who have put so much love, energy, passion, and dedication into what he created. We will always be here as long as that man right there is true to each and every one of us. Wednesday was an important day. Triple H has been in charge of NXT from the very beginning, since its inception, and was put in charge of branching WWE outside of their comfort zone. When they looked down on the independent scene, WWE always scoffed at the independent scene. They were always in their own little bubble, laughing at everybody on the indies. You were either too small, you didn't fit the bill to be a WWE superstar. Low-budget indie shows never amounted to anything in WWE's eyes. Wrestlers that might not fit the qualifications to be on a Raw or SmackDown or in the WWE period. Triple H wiped all these ideologies away. Vince gave him free reign with his money to go out there and cultivate the future of this business. With every passing year, Triple H's influence grew. The trust he needed from the fans in this role started to grow more and more. And now with NXT in a position like it is today, and I mean this wholeheartedly, the best wrestling product on the planet, that trust has gone from NXT to now, one day, hopefully, in the fans' eyes, him being the man to take WWE where it needs to be on Monday and Tuesday night and take over for Vince McMahon when Vince McMahon is gone. Wednesday started the next chapter. Now he will be in charge of 2 hours live every week. And if this debut episode was any indication, that trust only reached more hearts on Wednesday night. Wednesday certainly opened Vince McMahon's eyes, I would have to assume. Wednesday opened Vince McMahon's eyes. I read, which we will go over today, that Vince McMahon was in constant communication with Triple H before they went live on the USA Network. Vince McMahon's eyes undoubtedly have been opened where they were not previously open before, which is very bizarre to think about, how you're funding NXT and everything that goes into that brand and you don't know what's going in or coming out of it. I just find that to be very bizarre, how you're not at home watching these takeover shows after your universe speaks so loudly every Saturday night when there is a takeover right before a major WWE pay-per-view. How don't you hear that? And how don't you hear that enough to fucking care at all about what is going on? It's a shame that all it took was All Elite Wrestling to get Vince McMahon to start caring, and WWE to engage a war with them for Vince McMahon to finally see what is going on with NXT. I've said this for years. Nobody really believed me. Nobody really hung on to the words that came out of my mouth on this podcast, but I've said it, and you guys know that I have said it. NXT is the true alternative. AEW is not the true alternative. They might be the true alternative to what Vince McMahon has completely gave us over the last decade of garbage, but NXT has always been the true alternative, not All Elite Wrestling. I've said this for years. I don't know how Vince McMahon could be so supportive of this move and not realize what is being created in Orlando, and how he doesn't know that what is in Orlando right now is the future of his company. I don't know how Vince McMahon could look at Wednesday's show and not see the changes necessary to make Monday and right now Tuesday as good as they could be. NXT has always been WWE's greatest competition. They just refuse to see it. Major pay-per-view after major pay-per-view, this developmental talent has been showing the main roster exactly how things need to be done. Showing the main roster that the way they do things is the future of Raw and SmackDown Live. Wednesday also opened up, and if I'm on the main roster, if I'm a Seth Rollins, if I'm a Becky Lynch, if I'm a Braun Strowman, if I'm an AJ Styles, if I'm a Roman Reigns, it certainly would have opened my eyes. It would have definitely made me step back and think, shit, I gotta step up my game. NXT has been producing this type of shit for 7 years now. Why hasn't anyone on the main roster looked at this and wanted to be as proud of their work and their shows as NXT and their roster are theirs? I don't know. Why is every other wrestling promotion trying to emulate what Triple H does with NXT and with what he does with TakeOver, and the main roster is not? Are all of these other companies wrong? Are these promotions going about business the wrong way? Are their standards that low? No. They have the right idea. From presentation, storytelling, match quality, and the ever so important quantity, or quality, I should say, over quantity, where WWE has that backwards and goes for quantity over quality. Wednesday was an important night, guys. Wednesday was an important night, and Wednesday put to bed all the fears that I had about NXT moving to the USA Network. As long as Vince McMahon does not get involved, and as long as Triple H is given the free reign to continue running this show and building this show up to where it needs to be, showing everybody exactly what he has done for the last 7 years is the way of the future, that what he is doing is going to be emulated on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live, when everybody that is currently there right now is no longer there in the future. As long as this continues to happen, I think we as a fan base will be okay in the end. This is a great time for all of us. We got 2 hours of NXT, 2 hours of the best brand that WWE has to offer. Sometimes it doesn't even feel like a WWE brand. NXT is the best WWE brand that they have to offer. All Elite Wrestling has, right now, a great roster assembled and is going to war with WWE on Wednesday night, and they are also going to be producing 2 hours of what I expect to be great professional wrestling on Wednesday nights. Nobody's going to be caring about Monday Night Raw and Tuesday night. Nobody's going to be caring about Friday night SmackDown when they move to Fox on October 4th. What those two brands need to do on Monday and Friday is now look themselves in the mirror and ask themselves, how do we keep up with what's going on Wednesday nights? Because if we don't, they are certainly going to be lost in the shuffle. And that is 100% fact. This is why I've loved NXT so much, because I knew right from the get-go, I knew with the talent that was being cultivated down there, I knew with the leadership of Triple H and the team that he assembled, I knew that this was going to be the way of the future. The future looks bright. And I'm a very pessimistic individual, but when I look at Triple H and the team that he's assembled and the future of the company that he has right now inside the Performance Center and Full Sail University, it's very difficult for me to be pessimistic. I have all this optimism trying to burst out. And that's what I love about NXT so much. The fact that I can finally be myself, let go, not be negative. And for the first time in a long time with this product, I can actually trust. I just trust Triple H in a certain way where I don't trust Vince McMahon. And I would hope that Vince McMahon, after all of this, and after Wednesday night, and after every other Wednesday night that will come, that he finally opens up and sees that what his son-in-law is doing is exactly what he and his team need to be doing. I want the WWE to be cool. Triple H is doing that, so there's no excuse for Vince McMahon to not do the same thing. This is Off the Script, guys, episode 292. I am going to come right back. Don't go anywhere. I got so much news coming out of Wednesday's show, and I got a major bombshell that was dropped by Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega says that AEW houses real stars where NXT is nothing more than developmental talent. The war is raging, the battle lines have been drawn, and this is Off the Script, episode 292. This is part number 1. Don't go anywhere, guys. We're going to hit the intro, and we'll be right back.
Delete this man.
What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining me right here on Off the Script. It is episode 292, part number 1 for your Friday, September 20th, 2019. I don't believe we're already past the middle of September, heading towards October, man. This crept up on us like that. Unbelievable. It's also Happy iPhone Day. I ordered myself the iPhone 11 Pro Max. It cost me part of my right leg and most of my lung to pay for it, but it should be delivered today. Can't wait to start utilizing the new camera, that triple camera that they got on that thing now. Maybe I'll start taking videos of myself like all these females on social media. You know, giving my in real-time thoughts on Monday and Tuesday night during Raw and SmackDown. Nobody would get more retention and views than good old JD right over here, man. I'll wear my AEW hoodie and maybe my AEW hat. I'll look like a fucking smart mark. Shout out to Jessie. I know she does that, man. I always enjoy watching her videos. But Wednesdays is going to be awesome. Wednesdays is going to be awesome, man. NXT killed it. I had to write that open. I had to get that out there to you guys. I was so worried that they were not going to feel the same. And I've seen a lot of people say, oh, NXT's not going to feel the same. Wednesday's show didn't feel the same, you know? Then you got the bandwagoners who jumped on the bandwagon after talking all this shit about NXT. This is what I got for you, man. We've been here. There's a reason why Triple H says we are NXT. There's a reason why he says it. We are NXT. We've been NXT for so many years, and I'm happy to see that. Right now, as far as our worries, right now they could be put to rest. I have complete hope, complete faith, complete trust in Triple H and what he's going to do on Wednesday nights. And don't turn the other cheek to AEW, man. We got some AEW news today. They're going to put on a good show. They have a damn good fucking roster. Don't sleep on their roster. Don't go out there and say, oh, AEW sucks. AEW's overhyped. They haven't had one show yet. Let them get into the groove of things, and then you can judge. It's going to be a very difficult time for AEW. Listen, I'm not completely pro AEW. I'm just happy that something new is starting up. I'm just happy that something new is coming along, and it's making some aspect of WWE change after this monotony and after this complacency. That's what I'm most happy about. So we're going to go over all that. I got so much news as far as the NXT ratings on Wednesday night. They pulled in a great number for the first hour on USA Network. Triple H is such a proud papa of NXT. We're going to go over what he thought on the NXT USA debut, what Vince McMahon was doing leading up to the countdown, or what he was doing during the day as Triple H was counting down the hours as they went live on USA Network. Constant communication between Vince and Triple H. And then Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega interviewed the day after NXT on USA, and he absolutely threw NXT under the bus. So much so that Dominik Dijakovic came out and blasted Kenny Omega on social media, man. This is a situation where the battle lines have now been drawn. I don't know if they have to go to this ultimate pettiness that we're seeing on social media. You do your thing, AEW does their thing, and we all live in peace and harmony. I don't think that's going to remain that way whatsoever. In fact, it has not been that way. There's cheap shots from one side, there's cheap shots from the other side, counter-programming here, counter-programming there. It's gonna get ugly, folks, but who's gonna win out in the end? We are. I love it. So we're gonna go over all that today right here on the podcast. I also have a bracket to show you guys for the AEW Tag Team Championship Tournament. We're going to go over it, and I got a major spoiler that could potentially give one team, the team that I want to win, an advantage going into the tournament. So we'll see what happens, man. We got that, and injury news and notes. A lot of injuries came out of the NXT debut on USA. We'll go over that as well, including a return of Tommaso Ciampa. So make sure you guys stay with me right here on Off the Script. If you guys missed anything that I uploaded this week, man, tons of content. We got 1 hour on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays. You got 3 hours in total for Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. If you missed anything and you care about my thoughts on these shows, everything you need will be linked down in the description. So make sure you guys go check that out. Easy access for you. As easy as your sister on a Wednesday night, man. Right after NXT, of course. So I slide on right in there, just like you guys are going to slide into the description and go check out all those other videos. I had to throw that in there. I don't know. That Andrew Dice Clay comes out, man. Anyway, go check all that stuff out, again, in the description below. Follow me on social media, at JD from NY206. That's on Twitter and Instagram. And I got to show this off. Thanks to Salrex. Look at that, man. That's a beauty. But I'm not wearing the AJ Styles hat, man. I need a new AJ Styles hat. Mine was so old, I had to throw it away. It was all disgusting. It was all corroded. It was all sweat. So I had to throw it away. So there I am wearing my JD's Elite shirt. That's Salrex. At JD from NY206 on Twitter and on Instagram. Make sure you guys support the podcast via Patreon. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. And if you guys want to support me on Mixer, you guys can do that as well. That's where I'll be streaming most of my days from here on out on Mixer, JD from NY206. And if you guys want to subscribe, I would greatly appreciate that. Hit that subscribe button down below and turn on that bell for all notifications. The bell is very important, man. It notifies you of when I upload new content, so make sure you guys are in the know and turn on the bell. This podcast today is brought to you by my fine friends over at Harry's. Harry's.com/scripts. This is mega important, man. Harry's is the #1 sponsor of the podcast. They give me the best shave that I've ever had every single week. I've been using them for about 2 years now. I don't look at anything else. I haven't used anything else. Harry's is my go-to, and I want to get you guys a $13 value trial set with Harry's. All you got to do is use harrys.com/script. Join the 10 million who have tried Harry's, including myself, and claim your special offer today by using our unique link. Now, I love the closeness. I love the smooth glide of the blade. I love how their shave gel feels on my face, man, with that extra aloe. Man, it feels so good, and it leaves a beautiful tingling sensation on your face. Harry's is a return to the essential. Just like NXT, man, Harry's is a return to the essential. Quality, durable blades at a fair price, just $2 per blade. To keep prices that low, they cut out the middleman. Harry's owns a world-class blade factory in Germany that's been making some of the best razors in the world for 99 years. Now they can provide you great quality at factory direct prices, and this is a great incentive as well, guys, for you to try Harry's today. 1% of sales are donated to organizations that provide access to mental health care for men. There's no risk for trying them out. If you don't love your shave, let them know, and they will give you a full refund. What you guys are going to get when you use our unique link, you're going to get a razor handle for a firm grip. Choice of color is up to you. Orange, the navy blue, or the evergreen. 5-blade razor with a lubricating strip and a trimmer blade. Rich lathering shave gel with that aloe to keep your skin hydrated, and a travel blade cover as well to keep your razor dry and easy on the go. Harrys.com/script, guys. Shave better today. Use Harry's. Harrys.com/script. There are quite a few people that take ratings to be the end-all, be-all, especially in the pro wrestling landscape. The ratings being the end-all, be-all as to which show is better than the other, you know? It was prominent, and it was heavy, and it was a deciding factor during the WCW Nitro versus WWF Monday Night Raw, Monday Night Wars. And I don't think the ratings are really going to matter in this particular war on Wednesday night with All Elite Wrestling and NXT. I really don't understand why people gauge the ratings as heavily as they do. It's almost as if they think that they're going to get a job and speak highly on one product and down to the other, or they're thinking that they're going to be lining their pockets with money by aligning themselves with one brand over the other and talking positive about one and negative about the other. It's not about talking positive over negative. It's not about taking a segment on NXT in the 8:45 hour portion of the show and compare it to whatever AEW is doing at 8:45. It's not about breaking the shows down segment by segment. It's not about comparing which shows were better on Wednesday night, on week 1, on week 4, on week 8. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's like these people think that they're going to add some extra revenue to their pockets. It's like they're trying to get a job somewhere with one company over the other. Like, what is it to you what the ratings are? The ratings are meaningless to you and I. Now, I talk about the ratings here, and I'm going to give you the ratings numbers for NXT, if you don't know them already, just like we do SmackDown Live when they have a good or mostly bad show weekly. Same thing with SmackDown. Same thing with pay-per-view buys for WWE and AEW, WWE back in the day, now that they got the network, or network subscriptions nowadays for the WWE, or pay-per-view buys on Fight or iPay-per-view for AEW. The ratings should not matter. We should be in the group that is only concerned that on Wednesday night we have 2 shows that we are rarely going to complain about. We have NXT, which has always been the true alternative. We have AEW, which is going to be an alternative to the alternative. They're going to give you pro wrestling in their eyes, their vision of pro wrestling. They're going to be an alternative to what we see on Monday and Tuesday night. That was what AEW was all about. They never concerned themselves with NXT because it's the same audience. The same audience that watches NXT is more than likely going to watch AEW. The same audience that's watching AEW, more so than Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live, they're going to watch NXT. They are one in the same. I will always take NXT over AEW. I don't care what AEW does because I have this love for NXT, as I stated in the open of this show. But we should be so lucky that come Wednesday night, we're not going to have anything to complain about, really. There might be a thing here or there. AEW might do something that we don't agree with, a booking decision, a match outcome. I rarely complain about NXT, and when I do, I usually say it was a boring show. Nothing happened. Or that they're in a down period right now, which right now they're not. They're running on all cylinders at the moment. But what I'm trying to say is the ratings should not matter. For once, finally, on a Wednesday night, we can sit down and enjoy pro wrestling. It's important again. I wouldn't say that we're in a boom period, but it's great to see pro wrestling finally reaching a larger audience. It's great to see pro wrestling somewhat in the mainstream outside of WWE. You know, I love my independent underground metal acts, man. I really do. You know, you're not going to go out there and see a Dragon Force t-shirt or a Symphony X t-shirt or whoever you guys listen to. Those are my bands. I'm seeing Alter Bridge on Tuesday, by the way. I can't fucking wait. But it's great to see them still making their music and haven't changed for anything, and they're still so widely known and revered by everybody. That's what I look at when I look at NXT. You know, they're underground, but man, are they fucking cool. Man, are they good. People know what they are and they appreciate what they are. And I love the fact that NXT hasn't given in to change for some political agenda or to fit a mainstream audience, to appeal to a larger mainstream audience. They are remaining true to what brought them to the dance. It's great to see pro wrestling in that spotlight again, being pro wrestling and not trying to be this fucking entertainment that we see. It's cool. I love it when I walk into a Hot Topic and I see All Elite Wrestling, or I see Bullet Club, or I see the Bucks, Omega, Page, Cody. You know? It's great to see the Funko Pops on the shelf. Wow, look at this. WWE. Accessible. I love it. I was at Walmart the other day. Don't at me. I buy organic vegetables, okay? I have to go at least some portion of my diet organic. I love the New England style cucumbers, okay? Cut them up. Put them in a nice salad, whether I'm making a nice little tomato and cucumber salad with some feta cheese, some balsamic dressing, or I'm putting the cucumbers in a homemade pasta salad that I usually make. Key. I was looking for organic cucumbers. And this has nothing to do with the story. It just has something to do with wrestling being cool again. I was looking for organic cucumbers and I had nothing on the shelf in front of me. I asked the guy, the clerk, who was this bearded fellow, glasses, right? He had a hat on. He was minding his own business. Do you have any of the New England style organic cucumbers? I don't see any. I only see the regular. I don't like the regular. They go bad after a couple of days in the refrigerator. They don't have the same quality to me. So he's like, I might have some in the back. Let me go check. I was wearing my AEW hoodie. He didn't say anything while he went to the back. I'm standing there. I'm on my phone. I'm looking at Twitter. I'm looking at YouTube. He comes back with a box of organic cucumbers. Yes, I got my organic cucumbers. He looks at me and says, have a good day, man. And by the way, I love your hoodie. I can't wait for them to start up on October 2nd. And I'm like, yeah, man. There you go. I smiled. I'm like, me too, bro. Me too. Did you watch NXT? He's like, no, I got to catch up on it. Dude, wrestling is cool. Wrestling is the mainstream. When I walk into a fucking Walmart, and I'm the only mark wearing an AEW hoodie, and the one geek who points to my hoodie and says, I can't wait for them to start up on October 2nd. I'm like, yeah, I feel the excitement in the air. concern yourself with one thing and one thing only. The quality of the shows. You're going to get a great show on Wednesday with AEW. You're going to get a great show on Wednesday with NXT. Don't worry about the ratings. And I know that I'm fucking speaking to a wall here, but when the ratings come out, that's all anyone is going to say on social media because they have the brain cell of a fucking fly. Oh, AEW failed. NXT beat them in the ratings by 4 million people. Or whatever the fuck it is. 400,000 people. 4 million. I can only hope that the Wednesday Night Wars accumulate together 4 million fucking people on Wednesday night. Don't concern yourself with the ratings, man. NXT did awesome for their first night on the USA Network. Ratings for the debut on USA Network are in from 8 to 9. A very impressive number for NXT. 1.179 million viewers. So that is fucking awesome. And higher than I originally expected. I was expecting maybe 750, anywhere between 750 and maybe 900,000 for the debut episode of NXT. And I'm going to say this again to you guys when these cretins on social media want to come to me and, oh, Monday Night Raw had the highest rating in 3 years. Okay, the Raw reunion did 3 point whatever rating, right? How many of those people remained the following week? None. It went right back to the 2.1 that you're accustomed to seeing. The 2.1 that is deserving of the fucking quality of product they give you every single week. What does that say about your fucking product when you can't maintain any of that audience that tuned in? What does that say? It means they tuned in for Austin, they tuned in for Batista, or Goldberg, or Ric Flair, Sting, right? If he's there. The Rock, if he's there, if he's fucking able to make an appearance and grace us with his presence. Those are the only people that the fans are tuning in for. They don't give a fuck about Seth Rollins. Who the fuck is Seth Rollins to the eyes of the mainstream public? Nobody. He's another bearded loser who WWE failed to get over. There's no investment there. People are tuning in to watch Stone Cold because Stone Cold to them is a representation of what pro wrestling should be. Not fucking Seth Rollins or Braun Strowman. WWE's failed to build up their audience. There's no reason to watch. And I stated it every time we have one of these reunion shows. And I'm going to state it here for NXT because they're not absent from this fucking situation. I'm not going to give them a pass because I love NXT. 1.179 is a great number. But you know what I'm going to tell you. The number next week is the most important number. And the number after that is the most important number. What WWE needs to do is maintain a level of consistency here. This is the threshold now. This is the threshold. Anything below this number is a failure in my eyes. You have to continue to be around this. And I don't mean, oh, well, they dipped to 1.69 or 1.169 or 1.159 ratings. That's not a failure. If they start dipping into the 900,000s, then that's a big fucking failure in my eyes. Because you're failing to captivate people going on into the next weeks. And I don't think NXT is going to have a problem doing that because with what is lined up already for October 2nd, dude, it's looking like a takeover special. Seriously. Matt Riddle and Adam Cole is scheduled, from what I see, for the NXT Championship on October 2nd. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. When did we ever think we were going to get that? You know? Might have been a couple of months from now. Not even this year, maybe. Next year. I don't see Matt Riddle being ready for an NXT Championship run after WWE's done everything to kind of stall his momentum. But they're putting Killian Dane and Matt Riddle in a street fight again after what happened on Wednesday. Next week. And the winner of that is getting an NXT title shot on October 2nd. So you have Adam Cole versus Matt Riddle more than likely for the NXT title. Street Profits versus the Undisputed Era for the tag team titles, which was supposed to be on Wednesday, which I can only guarantee you they're saving for October 2nd. And Shayna Baszler versus Candice LeRae for the women's title. Dude, this is a takeover on live television. on cable television, on USA Network. When you want to poke the bear, WWE is going to fucking destroy your entire camp. And this is what happens when you want to fuck with Triple H. Now, I never wanted AEW to fucking poke the bear so much that Triple H is going to go Super Saiyan mode here and eat your fucking camp food and piss on your fucking campfire, you know? But this is what's coming. AEW had to know what they were doing. And I'm just afraid that they're not going to be able to do what NXT is doing. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that one show is better than the other, but I've been saying for weeks already, I'm going to take NXT over AEW anyway as far as quality goes. I'm going to be watching AEW because WWE has given us easy access to not only watch NXT, but do it the next day. We don't have to watch it on the USA Network. We can watch it on the WWE Network Thursday at 8 o'clock when I have nothing to do. So I'm going to do AEW on Wednesday. Now, if there's a big title match like Adam Cole and Matt Riddle, clearly I'm going to be flipping back and forth to see what the fuck is going on. But the ratings are going to be more important in week 2, week 3. And I don't want you to concern yourself with the amount of people watching. Just concern yourself with what you are watching and what you enjoy. I'm going to enjoy both. And we all should enjoy both because AEW coming into the fold, I don't know if you realize this. It's the AEW effect, man. The AEW effect is something that I've created, something that I've come up with. I've been saying it since the inception of AEW. This is something that is happening right now, and them being here is making everything around it and in the pro wrestling world better. I just wish Vince McMahon would get on board and realize that he needs to be better. Because if he doesn't, he's going to fall way behind on what's happening on Wednesday night. And I don't think if you're a CEO that you want to fall behind Developmental or nothing more than a t-shirt company. Come on. So the ratings are important, yes, but they're not important to you and I. They're not important to you and I. It's going to be very interesting. The only aspect of the ratings I'm going to gauge is how they maintain them going on through the weeks. WWE. How is WWE going to maintain the ratings going on through the rest of the month and then clearly in October? Same thing goes for AEW. I'm not expecting Listen, I know for a fact, and you should think the same way as well. You should not be in this mindset that, AEW is going to draw 1 million, 2 million. If they get anywhere above 1 million, consider that a fucking success. It's not about beating WWE at that point, which I don't expect them to. If they do, so be it. But if they get anywhere close to 1 million viewers on Wednesday night with their debut, that is a success. I'm going to say the same thing about them that I said about NXT. If they don't maintain that viewership going into week 2, week 3, week 4, then they're losing. They're not doing a good job. And then they need to reevaluate what they're doing and why people aren't staying and watching their shows. But you want my honest opinion on NXT and AEW right now. You look at the card for AEW on Wednesday night, and you look at what's coming for NXT on Wednesday night. It's Jon Moxley making an appearance on AEW, Cody Rhodes versus Sammy Guevara, Young Bucks and Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho and 2 mystery partners, which I'm predicting are LAX, or Pride and Powerful, is what I think they're going to be calling themselves. Nyla Rose versus Riho to crown the first ever AEW Women's Champion, and MJF versus Brandon Cutler. Now, WWE is looking at this, and they're probably laughing. And you're probably listening to this laughing. Ha 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 ha, I'm going to watch NXT. They got 3 championship matches that I legit give a shit about. And just looking at this on paper, you can tell that NXT show is going to blow away AEW's. Which is not surprising, because 10 times out of 10, they will. And it makes me wonder, just looking at this, WWE put Shayna and Candice on this show specifically on October 2nd. And it makes me wonder, as far as a counteract with AEW, how smart of it was AEW to do Nyla Rose and Riho on this show, instead of going with a Britt Baker versus a Bea Priestley. or someone like an Emma, or someone a little bit more notable. Who gives a shit about Riho on TNT? Nyla Rose? I could see Nyla Rose being in that stage, in that spotlight, just because of the story around her, But comparing that to Shayna and Candice, which one are you going to go out of your way and watch? More than likely, you're going to watch Shayna Baszler and Candice LeRae. So I feel like AEW is already behind the 8 ball as far as what they're doing on their show, and this is what they get. This is what they get. They want to go Wednesday night. WWE is somewhat intimidated. They're going to throw their fucking best shit at them, and WWE is not playing around on Wednesday nights now. This all results in a great wrestling experience for all of us on Wednesday night. Don't concern yourself with the fucking ratings. Don't. Because I think both shows will deliver in some ways. NXT might deliver better than AEW, but if so, so be it. It's still going to be a great night of pro wrestling, where on Monday, we have 3 hours and nothing is redeeming about Monday. 2 hours and more than likely, nothing is redeeming on Tuesday. So just enjoy it for what it is, please. Moving on here, man. Triple H, he was a happy man at the end of that NXT show. He commented on the NXT debut. Triple H, very proud father of his NXT roster. Following NXT's debut on the USA Network, Triple H came out to thank the crowd, take some pictures, shake some hands. Later on, Triple H commented on the Yellow Brand's debut on the USA Network as he invited whoever to follow that, my friends. He says this, and I quote, "You only get one chance to make a first impression. Couldn't be more proud. Hashtag follow that, my friends." Triple H revealed that Vince McMahon thought they knocked it out of the park. Triple H then went on to discuss how Vince McMahon appreciates the difference between NXT and what they bring to the table, which is something that people don't give him credit for. Triple H said this about Vince McMahon not getting enough credit. "I receive a bunch of texts from Vince McMahon throughout the day, excited to see it and wishing us luck, especially as it got close. He was sending me little texts, counting me down, 20 minutes, which I thought was great because it was just fun. And then he sent me a few texts throughout the show. He watched the entire thing. I'm sure he's at the office, probably at a meeting while he was doing it, but he enjoyed it. He loved it. He thought the talent did a hell of a job, thought they knocked it out of the park. He was excited. He sent me a massive congratulations after it was over and was thrilled about the product. It's a funny thing because people don't give him the credit. He embraces the difference. The products should be different, and he embraces that difference and is all into that difference. It's like liking any different type of music. And one thing might be somebody's cup of tea and something else may be another, but you appreciate all of it. And I think that's the best way of saying it. He absolutely appreciates it and thought it was great. He sent me a congrats. The crew and all the talent got a congratulations from Vince McMahon." End quote. Now, I'm not sure I totally agree with Triple H on what he said. It's like liking different types of music. There might be something that's someone's cup of coffee, and there's something else that might be someone else's cup of coffee. But at the end of the day, you appreciate it all. No, I don't appreciate the main roster because the main roster has let us down, lied to us, manipulated its fan base, and has treated us like fucking simpletons. They've treated us like idiots for so many years. They don't listen to us. They don't care what we think. They take every opportunity to shit all over us. And that's Vince McMahon's mentality. Vince McMahon, in a personal text between his family, and in this case, his son-in-law, Vince McMahon, in a text to Triple H, is going to be a different Vince McMahon when he's in Gorilla, backstage, doing what he's got to do. There's two versions of Vince McMahon. There's Vince McMahon at Raw and on SmackDown Live, and then there's Vince McMahon in Stamford, Connecticut at Titan Tower, texting Triple H about NXT. I don't understand why we need to give Vince McMahon credit when Vince McMahon doesn't give his own fucking fan base a credit. He don't give a fuck about us. He doesn't give a shit about what we think. He doesn't give a shit what we want or who we want in those spots. I mean, the fucking guy pushed Roman Reigns for 5 fucking years because it's what he wanted. He pushed Seth Rollins this year because it was what he wanted. And now look at it. We wanted Rollins, and then Vince takes Rollins and ruins Rollins. Vince takes Becky because we wanted Becky, and he puts her in the fucking ring with Lacey Evans throughout all of the summer. So at the end of the summer, we don't like Becky Lynch anymore. Look at what he's doing to Sasha. Look at what he's doing to Sasha. He lulls them back into a fucking false sense of security. Come on back, we missed you, we need you. Now she's back and she's looking weaker and weaker and weaker every single week. Bayley and Sasha have been on the receiving end. Bayley and Sasha got ousted by fucking Carmella on Tuesday night. Someone who has nothing to do with the overall storyline arc here. Yet I'm supposed to give Vince McMahon credit. I'm supposed to give Vince McMahon credit with all the rumors I read this week that he wants to bury Cedric Alexander. Or he ordered Cedric Alexander to be buried. Right? Yeah, I'm supposed to give Vince McMahon credit. I'm supposed to give Vince McMahon credit because Ricochet is in a fucking Who's the Baby's Father storyline with Maria Kanellis that apparently I read this morning is going to include Maury Povich. Yes, I'm supposed to give Vince McMahon credit. No, I'm not giving Vince McMahon any credit. Because the louder we get, the more deaf he becomes to what we want. I've tweeted the man in anger. I know he doesn't run the fucking account. I've tweeted him. I've got my point across that we are a disgruntled fan base that deserves better. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody gives a shit. You know who does? Triple H. And that's why we all love and appreciate, and you will too if you're a newbie around here. You're going to love and appreciate what Triple H does with NXT, and you're going to look at that. It might take some time for you. You're going to look at it, and then you're going to wonder, well, why isn't Vince doing this? Or why isn't Monday Night Raw or SmackDown Live doing this? Because they don't give a shit. I'm not giving Vince McMahon credit for anything. The man runs Monday Night Raw the way he wants. Triple H could get a different version of Vince McMahon, but the Vince McMahon that I get on Monday night while he gives us 3 hours of sheer fucking garbage is the Vince McMahon I will not give credit to. There's no reason for me to. Nothing's changed. Nothing even is close to changing. Maybe with the move to SmackDown Live, maybe that move alone will help change Monday Night Raw for the better. But I don't sense any change on Monday night. Where's the change? SmackDown Live was decent this past week, but how many times do I come on here and say SmackDown Live was decent? It's a 1 in 10 shot. The other 9 times, it's as worse as Monday Night Raw. I'm not giving Vince McMahon credit for anything. Oh, Vince McMahon loves NXT all of a sudden. Why does he love NXT? Because they're in a fucking war with another company who's shitting in his front yard. That's why. Why is Vince McMahon excited? That's why. Finally, his money is going to fucking good use. Instead of cultivating the independent talent and putting his fucking main roster to shame, now all that money that he's pumping into NXT is finally going to see some fucking kickback. And he's going to try and show AEW what they're all about. Trying to stifle their momentum. That's why Vince McMahon's fucking excited. He ain't excited about NXT. Because if he was, what happened to the other 6-7 years that they've been in existence that you fucking ignored them? Instead of using them as some sort of influence, instead of using them as a true alternative to make your shows better. How the fuck would you feel if you're a CEO and you're watching your son-in-law deliver a product that absolutely blows every aspect of your fucking show out of the water? I know it won't make me feel good. It won't make me feel good at all. You think Vince McMahon fucking cares? Nah, he's looking at his fucking bank account. He's looking at that fucking Saudi fucking e-commerce bank account. 500 million? Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. He don't give a fuck. He's gonna give a shit about Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. Yeah, he really gives a shit about NXT when he called up fucking Ciampa and Gargano when they were fucking feuding and then puts them in a fucking tag team on Monday Night Raw. Great job. Yeah, that's somebody that really I should give credit to. Somebody that fucking cares about the NXT product. Why does Vince care about the NXT product? Because Tony Khan is throwing his money around now. Because Tony Khan got TNT cable deals. Sure. Fuck out of here. Triple H could be happy. He could be as happy as he wants. He could be a proud papa. But don't bullshit me. Triple H receiving a text from Vince McMahon is not the same Vince McMahon we see on Monday night. Give me a break. Moving on. Now, he goes on to elaborate this. He goes on to continue talking about, Triple H does, Vince McMahon, and why he doesn't get enough credit from everybody. He says this during the NXT conference call before USA Network. Now, truth is, everything with WWE has his fingerprints on it, even NXT. Yes, it might not have his fingerprints on it, and, it might not be evident, but his fingerprints come with the money. That's where Vince McMahon's fingerprints are coming from, because who the fuck is paying for this shit? It's not Triple H. I've sat under his wing, learning for 25 years, and a lot of things that I do were taught directly from him. In what way? In what way? I don't know what they discuss creatively, but clearly Triple H is proving to be far more superior by creative than what we see on Monday Night Raw, because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. So whatever he was taught might have been as far as business or some other way. I don't know. It definitely has his fingerprints. Everything in the company has his fingerprints. But we're not looking to change NXT. He's not looking to get involved. Trust me on that. He's got enough stuff going on. NXT is going to be what it is and what it has been. And that is an alternative and much more for our core base. For those who are super passionate and really into what we do as opposed to being a casual fan. I don't understand that. Yes, I get it on the context of what he's trying to say, but I don't understand why you think if you don't do what you're doing in NXT and apply it to Monday Night Raw, why those casual fans don't become a hardcore fan. Because you're pushing these guys in NXT. You're caring about these guys just like we cared about The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin. I'm not comparing a Champ and a Gargano and these guys, Cole or Matt Riddle to Stone Cold and The Rock and Kane and The Undertaker and Mankind and Shawn Michaels, all these guys. But the level of care that went into those characters is the same type of level of care that we see Triple H doing with his guys now. So why couldn't you take what you do with NXT and put it in front of the casual fan? Who's to say they're not going to like it? Because clearly NXT, by just the numbers that I remember hearing about NXT on the WWE Network, clearly you got 750 to 800,000 people watching NXT on the network, and then you got a 1.179 rating on the USA Network for 1 hour of NXT. So clearly some of those people were casual fans, and I didn't really hear anything negative about the show overall. In fact, everything about NXT was the most positive I've ever heard. So who's to say if you don't put that in front of the casual audience that they're not going to enjoy it and continue to enjoy it? Because they, at that point, will open their mind and be like, why am I not getting this on Monday and Tuesday night? Like, what is this? Why does this feel so real and so sports-like? Why am I getting great wrestling here and this is the same WWE? It's the same company. It's a WWE brand. Why am I not getting this on Monday and Tuesday night? There needs to be no difference between the two. You can have your entertainment on Monday and Tuesday night, but the core of what WWE should be is what NXT is. The core of NXT, the essence of what makes NXT true, should be the core of Monday Night Raw. And build around that. You can have your entertainment, you can have some comedy here and there, but my God, man, get with the fucking program. I mentioned this before. WWE is going to be behind the 8 ball. Yeah, they might be making all the money, but they are the wicked stepchild. Sitting in the corner fucking coloring in his coloring book. Lonely and afraid. Oh, I got no friends. NXT and AEW and everybody else building around this mantra and this ideology, they're going to be the ones that are going to be getting all the attention. While WWE continues to be criticized because you're a fucking weirdo. and you're not really in the camp of wanting to change. That's the way I feel. That's the way I see it. The people who are really into it, this is the brand for them. They're going to feel like this is home for them. Yes, exactly. I feel the same way I did about the old school like I do now about NXT. So Triple H is definitely right there. If anything, we'll just make it more of that. So that's what he said. He also said this, one thing that people don't give Vince McMahon credit for is that none of this would happen without him. We all know. I think we all are very understanding of that fact. The concept, the idea of it being an alternative brand doesn't exist without him, and that is part of what makes it great, is his ability to make us do that and his ability to step back and say, this is what it is, and I'm not going to change that because it moves to a different platform. It is successful for a reason, and I want that reason to continue to grow. So that is what Vince McMahon means to Triple H, and that's what Triple H said about Vince McMahon not getting enough credit. Speaking of the NXT debut on USA Network, it did not come without any negatives, man. Not so much the show, but injuries. Injuries happened. Velveteen Dream and Roderick Strong had a great match. Not really the best match I've seen from Velveteen or even Roddy, but it was still a great match nonetheless with a great outcome. Roderick Strong is the new North American champion. That match, though it was great, Velveteen Dream was injured in that match against Roderick Strong. Dream was unable to compete after the show, and by the nature of his injury, we don't know what's going on, but I'm hearing it was a lumbar pain. He will not be cleared again until undergoing some evaluation at the PC. So those end of heartaches, I'm sure, are really giving Velveteen Dream some heartache as of this week. So hopefully he gets better, and I hope he's not out too long because he's going to be a major part of NXT on the USA Network. You need to see Velveteen. So hopefully he gets better quick. Kona Reeves is also injured. Who? Kona Reeves, the lamest Kona Reeves. I see a lot of potential in him, but it's just not resonating, man. It's like the Mia Yim thing, but in male form. Kona Reeves is also injured. He's out of action. He wrestled Damian Priest before the show. Wait till you guys see Damian Priest's intro and entrance. Awesome. So that was during a dark match. His cheek was busted open and he required 5 stitches. It is also said that he could have an orbital bone injury. Arturo Rujas. Or is it Rujas or Arturo Rujas? I don't know. Whatever. I don't like him. I think he's very boring and vanilla. He will also need an x-ray on his fingers after the match against Pete Dunne. Apparently that finger-breaking spot might have been a little too real for Mr. Rujas. Not really good as far as the injuries coming out of the show, but hopefully none of them are serious enough where people are going to miss a significant amount of time. No matter what AEW does, I don't know if I can not keep on the USA Network for this man's return. He's been injured, neck injury, you know him. You know him as the greatest sports entertainer of all time. Might be a little bit of a stretch, but Tommaso Ciampa can't begin to tell you how important he is to NXT. It's been out of action for 6 months. Fans are fucking drooling over the fact that he's coming back. Now, while speaking to a media call, Triple H mentioned about the debut of USA with NXT. Triple H discussed Tommaso Ciampa's expected return from injury. It was only a matter of time before Tommaso Ciampa makes his big return to NXT. He says this about Ciampa, and I quote, "He's getting very close. When you come down to the end of, unfortunately, I've been through many of these. When you get down to the end, there is this point in time when you are just chomping at the bit. You're ready to go. You feel like you can move the world. And yet the doctors are still like, give it a bit more time, take it slow. The last couple of percentage points to get to 100% is the most frustrating part of an athlete because you feel that you can take on the world, but you just can't quite yet. He's ready. He's as close as he can get. He is the racehorse right now, stomping and pulling at the gate. When the doctor tells him to go, he is going to come flying out of the gate." End quote. So that is what Triple H says about Tommaso Ciampa. He's hurt. still hurt. He's on the DL, so I figured I'd put that into all the other injury reports. But he is going to be back, and I would not be surprised that October is the date. It might not be, or the month rather. It might not be October 2nd being the date, but in that month, I'm expecting Tommaso Ciampa to be back and in the middle of the war with AEW. That is your NXT Championship match. It's going to be Adam Cole and Tommaso Ciampa. They're going right to that. And don't start telling me, well, Ciampa didn't do anything for a title match. He never lost the title. So they have an easy out with him coming back. You can't penalize him for something that he didn't lose. So clearly he's coming back for Goldie, and clearly it makes more than enough sense to put him in a feud with Adam Cole. So I don't see why Matt Riddle and Adam Cole needs to happen right now. It kind of makes the entire thing a little predictable, if you ask me, because I don't think WWE is going to go with Riddle and Ciampa. I think they're going to go with Ciampa and Cole. That's the money match there. Ciampa and Johnny have a history. Adam Cole and Johnny have had a stretch of matches this year that are going to go down as some of the best in WWE history. And now Adam Cole is going to have to face Johnny's best friend in Tommaso Ciampa. It makes sense. In every sense of the word, it makes sense. So I can't wait for him to come back. And, man, it's unbelievable how you could watch these shows and you know something is off. Something has been off for the last 6 months. Ciampa makes these shows that much better. The level of intensity and the level of quality he brings to NXT is off the charts. That was, I wouldn't say a career... I wouldn't say it was a brand-ending injury, but man, he's left a big void that Johnny did a great job trying to fill, Adam Cole did a great job trying to fill, NXT did a great job just holding off these past 6 months, and WWE is lucky that Ciampa was only out for this half a year, 6 months. The fact that he's coming back or has the possibility of coming back and he's almost near complete, 100%, is a fucking miracle. You can't fuck around with those neck injuries, man. I can't wait till he comes back. NXT, you think they're great now? Having him back, when you see his presence and his theme music and what he does in the ring on weekly NXT television, they might be unstoppable. Seriously, they might be unstoppable because he's one of the best things that they have right now, currently employed with the WWE. Guys, we're going to go over this big story about Kenny Omega in just a little bit. I just want to make sure you guys are aware that Audible is sponsoring the podcast as well this week. audibletrial.com/offthescript. Make sure you guys go and get your 30 days free of their service and one free audiobook of your choice, guys. Can't beat that. You're listening to Off the Script, the best fucking podcast in your subscription boxes when it comes to pro wrestling. Why wouldn't you support? Why wouldn't you take advantage of the free offer? audibletrial.com/offthescript. 30 days free, one free audiobook. Do it today. audibletrial.com/offthescript. Oh, Mr. Omega. Kenny Omega, man, the cleaner, seems to be a little upset these days. I don't know why. He's probably the best wrestler on the entire planet right now. And I'm sure Tony Khan is keeping him very happy with those paychecks coming in every single week. Kenny Omega is one of the biggest, I don't want to say independent, because Kenny Omega really isn't an independent wrestler anymore. He's on a national stage with TNT and AEW. But Kenny Omega seems to be in his feelings a little bit more as of late. And I don't know if that's a direct effect of just hanging around Cody and being an executive vice president and feeling the heat as far as an executive vice president. Hanging around Cody might be the number one thing that is driving him to be a little in his feelings right now. But Kenny Omega blasted WWE, saying AEW are real stars and NXT are developmental. Now, NXT's debut on the USA Network, much praised by everybody. 1.179 rating. Huge success. Everybody's talking about it. It's going to be a big deal. We all knew it was going to be a big deal. This is NXT. They are the standard of quality here in North America for pro wrestling. Kenny Omega took to a discussion with Dropkick Discussions. He recently spoke to them, and he unloaded about the Wednesday Night Wars. To him, there is no war, because AEW will have real stars, while NXT is only offering fans developmental talent. I don't know if that is exactly factual coming from Kenny Omega, because if you look at AEW, how many real stars do AEW have outside of the executive vice presidents? How many? Kenny Omega himself is a star. Cody Rhodes is a star. Matt and Nick Jackson are stars. Adam Hangman Page. Would you consider Adam Hangman Page a star? Because if he was, he'd probably end up being World Heavyweight Champion. I don't put, and I mean this in no way negative towards Adam Hangman Page, I don't think Adam Hangman Page is at that level. He's merely there by association with the elite. And again, I don't mean that in any negative way. The Bucks, Omega, Cody, I wouldn't say that they're household names, but they're household names. If you know pro wrestling, you know everybody that I mentioned there. Adam Hangman Page, he doesn't give off that vibe that he's a real star. He's got the makings of a real star. If AEW puts the time, effort, and the resources into giving him that, he could be a real star. They give him the time and are patient with him, and they creatively book him in a manner that he comes off like a real star. And then he takes that upon himself and just exudes it through the camera and what he does in the ring, which is great as it is. Just mold that personality and become who we all know you can be. I don't think he's at that level yet. So when Kenny wants to say that AEW has real stars outside of the executive vice presidents, how many stars are there? Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho. That's it. That's it. LAX, if you are in the pro wrestling world, LAX are probably the best tag team in the world. Lucha Brothers, you could probably say the same thing. MJF? Yeah, everybody knows MJF. But is he a real star? He's on the way to being. LAX are on the way to being. That's why they signed with AEW. The Lucha Brothers. That's why they signed with AEW, because they are not at that level yet. They are not. I love Santana, Ortiz, Pentagon, Phoenix, MJF. They are not at that level yet. They're not. And if you say they are, you're fooling yourself. They have every qualification to be a legit megastar in this business. Are they on the level of a WWE superstar? No, they're not. So when Kenny says that AEW has real stars and NXT is developmental, I think, honestly, no matter how much I respect Kenny Omega, I think his opinion in this is showing heavy favoritism to his home guys. And he's getting a little salty because WWE now has counteracted AEW with NXT on Wednesday night when they thought they were going to walk into this clear and without any stress. Seems to be the stress is getting to them a little bit more lately. He says this, and I quote, "You can call it a war if you want. To me, we're in a completely different kind of business. What they're doing is different from what we're doing. And it's weird because it's hard to say that you're going to war with people that I call my friends, and yet we are going to war." Now, I want to stop there. We're in a completely different kind of business. What business is that? What business is that? You're in the world of professional wrestling. Your business is to get eyeballs, and your business is to make money and to build a brand from pretty much scratch, from the ground up. Okay? Your business is your business. But NXT, they got their own business too. Whereas they might not be building from scratch. They're putting a brand that is a relative unknown. They're putting talent that is a relative unknown on the USA Network and building them from scratch. Do you know how many people complained? Who's the Velveteen Dream? Why did NXT go into this weekly show on Wednesday night live on the USA Network with no backstory? Why did they go into this and conduct business just as usual with no reason to care? Who is Roderick Strong? Who is the Velveteen Dream? Who is Imperium? Who is Oney Lorcan? Who are these women? They went about going about their business in the typical way that NXT goes about doing their business. They put on a show. You were fucking impressed. You're going to come back and watch, and you're going to learn on your own time who everybody is. So cut the criticisms about, oh, who are they? Make the fucking time to get to know who they are. They both have business to conduct. It might be different. Yes, it might be different. But at the end of the day, the one thing that they're both in business for is to grab eyeballs. So why is it so different? Because Kenny Omega says it's different. Yeah, WWE's different as far as business because, yeah, they might not, like I said, be starting from the ground up like AEW. You know, they might have the jump because they got the WWE machine behind them and AEW starting from scratch. So he's trying to use this as a way to fan the flames. Oh, they'll never compete with WWE. So that's their easy way out. That's their political move. Oh, yeah, we're not in business to compete. There is no war. We're going to do our own thing, and we got our own thing going on. Because that's, to me, a way for AEW to say, you know what? Yeah, we might not be able to compete, but that's not what we're in business for. WWE's business is to put AEW out of business. WWE's business with NXT is to take the fucking cannons, fire the first shot, and critically wound AEW. And if you don't think that's the case, if you don't think that's WWE's business in this entire thing, then you're a fool. Yeah, business might be different, but the one thing that is the biggest aspect of this business is to grab eyeballs. You want that market share. So they're in business for the same reasons. Whereas AEW might be doing something different, NXT might be doing something different, AEW might be doing something for their own reasons, but WWE is doing things for reasons that we all know. It's the AEW effect, folks. It's the AEW effect. Yet when I sit back and look at the grand picture, it's like I'm going to war with these dudes that if we're on the same show together, the same show with the same promotion, let's pretend there are no wars. Let's pretend there are no promotions. Let's just pretend there's one big promotion. If they were on the same show as me, they'd be in the dark match. They'd be in the opening match, and I am in the main event. You want to call that a war? You want to call that competition? Go ahead. I mean, maybe that's fun for you to do. That's cool. But we're on different planets, and you're going to see that right away when you see 10,000 seat plus arenas sold out. You're going to see smiles on fans' faces. You're going to see real stars, not developmental talent, but real stars there on your television sets every single week. End quote. Now, I don't want to say Kenny Omega is cocky, but he has every right to be. But man, you just sense the conceitedness and the cockiness emanating from Kenny Omega here. Now, listen. You might be the biggest Kenny Omega mark that there is. I appreciate and respect what Kenny Omega has brought to the table as far as a pro wrestler goes. I love the journey that he took to get to where he is today. He's someone that I could certainly appreciate as he took a chance on himself and he went out there and put himself out there, and everything that he put out there came right back to him tenfold. I appreciate that. But when you're going to sit there and say that if you're on the same show as an Adam Cole or a Matt Riddle or a Johnny Gargano or a Tommaso Ciampa or any of these guys, that you would be in the main event and a guy like Ciampa or Gargano or Adam Cole or Matt Riddle or Velveteen Dream would be in the dark match, I mean, that's not really a good look for Kenny Omega. They call him the cleaner. He might have to clean himself up after these comments because I don't find any factual statement in anything he said. I think that's just a conceited asshole. And I love Omega. I don't mean any disrespect towards Omega, but there's no way you can go out there in an interview and believe the words that came out of your mouth about the fucking talent that NXT has. NXT, it's just the way of the world. You're a start-up promotion. The reason why I love AEW right now in its inception and what they've done so far is because it's new. I feel like we're a part of something and we are just as important as the people running the show. They know this. I love when I see something start from the ground up. And I love when I see something new and out there. I feel like we're a part of the growth. I feel like this is a new journey to embark on. And it's great to see the trials and tribulations. It's great to see the successes and the downfalls and how we pick ourselves up after those downfalls and make those mistakes and fix them. I love every aspect of that. I love seeing new guys that have all the potential in the world to be a real star that are not quite there yet. Break out and be, yes, new star. Yes, now WWE's looking at him. You know? I don't understand that mentality. That is such an asshole, illogical thing to say. I don't believe Kenny Omega believes anything that came out of his mouth. And the only reason why Kenny Omega has said this in this interview this week is because he's upset that WWE is going about things in a completely different way. He is upset that WWE has done what they've done already as far as trying counter programming, whether it be with Smackville, remember that? Or with the Evolve show that got Kenny in his feelings, that led to him tweeting and then deleting. It's going to happen. And the one thing that I see here out of all of this, and again, I don't mean any disrespect, it seems like NXT is being a little bit more mature in this situation. Yeah, we can zing WWE on all their counter programming. How many months have we been talking about NXT moving to a major network? It was eventually going to happen. I didn't want it to happen because of those fears that if it goes to a major network, then Vince is going to kill it. Vince is going to main roster it. Hopefully that's not the case. And after week 1, like I said, I think our fears could be pushed to the side for now. But NXT, obviously, they're going to be a promotion that is going to come off like a WWE with a WWE machine behind it. And everybody that you watch on NXT is going to have real stars. They just come off like bigger stars. And that's not a knock on AEW. It's just the simple fact that everything that WWE is doing is to protect their brand. Everything that WWE is doing is to not have anybody come into their front yard and fucking stake claim. They want to be the end-all be-all for pro wrestling, which is a little ridiculous. But in the end, NXT is always going to beat AEW because that's what they do. That's what they do. And with Kenny Omega saying shit like this, and Cody going out there and breaking thrones, and the Young Bucks taking cheap shots at Vince and whatever they do on being the elite. Yeah, it's a little sophomoric. Yes, it's funny. Yes, it's true. It's funny because it is true. But I wish, and I hope that they don't fall down the same fucking path or the same hole that Impact did. They made it about WWE. They made it about competing. WWE's going to compete because they have the resources to compete. Don't go out there and break thrones. Don't go out there and be a Kenny Omega here. Seems like he channeled his inner Seth Rollins and made himself look like a fool. It just seems to me that NXT is being a little bit more mature in this situation. Because if AEW was so confident in what they're doing, you know, confidence is a little bit more attractive when it's silent. Like, I don't want somebody coming out here and saying, oh, NXT is developmental talent. NXT is Anybody on the NXT brand is a dark match if I'm on the same show. Yeah, we know you're great. We know you're great. But that confidence is a little bit more of an attractive trait when you're by yourself doing what you're doing and you show people what you do in the ring without saying, I'm the fucking greatest of all time, man. Top that. Yeah, WWE is doing the follow that or follow that, my friends, because they're proud. It might be a cheap shot, but they're proud of what they're doing. Omega is proud of what he and AEW is doing. But when you come out there and blast an entire roster, mentioning them by name, that's a little conceited, that's a little dickish, that is a little immature. Because I don't believe anything that he said at all. And I don't think he does either. And I don't think AEW does. I would be embarrassed if I'm AEW and Kenny Omega went out there and said something like that. Yes, it's in the spirit of competition. Yes, it's in the heat of a war. It's going to be a war. The fans are making it a war. The dirt sheets are making it a war. I just told you, it is not about a war. There is no war. You're going to make it a war because of the numbers you see coming in and the attendance and this and that. But here we are with 4 hours of wrestling on Wednesday night that we can be proud of. Why don't you just continue doing what you need to do and mind your own business? Let NXT do what they do. You never seen Triple H come out. Triple H has answered maybe 1 or 2 questions about AEW. Or fucking Mike Johnson from PW Insider on the last takeover call mentioned, oh, what about the blood and guts? And here you are, got Johnny Gargano, Adam Cole in a blood and guts match. Yet Triple H is like, there's no blood in the match. Then Mike Johnson's, well, Adam Cole was bleeding on his back. He just fell from fucking 25 feet off a steel cage. The fuck do you want from me? We didn't intentionally pour buckets of blood on these guys in the ring. You're making it bigger than it is. NXT has done a very good job, and I expected them to. Done a very good job at minding their own business. They don't really need to go out there and say, oh, AEW's got a bunch of no-name jobbers on their roster. You don't see Johnny Gargano or Adam Cole or Matt Riddle or Triple H himself burying AEW's roster. How do you think that would make them look? What type of PR you think would come their direction if they said that? They don't want to ruin their individuality. They don't want to ruin their brand recognition by throwing another name or roster or brand company out there under the bus. Why would they do that? They are doing exactly what Omega should be doing. You go out there, you perform, you put on the best fucking show possible. Little innocent fucking tweet. Follow that. We all know what it means in context, but Triple H is never mentioning AEW. Follow that. It's a generalized term. He could be talking about Progress. He could be talking about New Japan. He could be talking about CZW or MLW. Follow that. And is he wrong? Is he wrong? Because you all know that every time Triple H has a takeover, and you got those 5 or 6 matches on that takeover show, more than likely, we as a community are saying, I don't know how WWE can follow that. We say that about WWE main roster. Follow that. Every main roster show. Follow that. And they don't. And they can't. It's not the same. The underlying context is there. But Omega, his confidence should be exuded in silence. Because that's what Triple H is doing. He's putting on the show that he's always put on. He's never making it about another company. Triple H is doing what he's doing. Quietly, it might be discussed. Quietly, they might be looking at AEW. And you know what? Quietly, they're looking at AEW and they're making the right judgment calls to make their product better. That's what confidence means to me. That's what I would be doing if I'm Triple H. None of their rosters mention anything about AEW, yet AEW is taking everything that WWE is doing to counter-program AEW, and they're taking it to heart. Why don't you just shut up, go back to the locker room, discuss what you need to discuss, come up with a plan, and put the best product you can out there. And you know what? People will come. Because if you continue talking this shit in the general public, people might turn the other cheek to AEW, and you might be forcing people to watch NXT because of your shitty attitude. That's all I have to say about that. Confidence is a lot more attractive when it's subdued and quiet off to the side. That's what I wish WWE, that's what I wish AEW in this case would look at as far as WWE goes. Because it seems to me that Kenny Omega's being immature, and NXT, Triple H, they're going about this in the most mature way possible. So I think Kenny Omega pulled out his Seth Rollins card, and he flopped on the river. Jackpot went to WWE here. Speaking of AEW, guys, AEW finally confirms the weekly television show name. It will be Dynamite. AEW Dynamite. The news was spoiled this week as a number of people noticed that the TV US listings have the show name as Dynamite, but Matt Jackson of the Young Bucks has also confirmed this via Twitter. AEW applied for the trademark Dynamite name, and while it's technically called All Elite Wrestling Dynamite, I hope that it's just called Wednesday Night Dynamite. Nice little ring to it. Sounds catchy, it sounds better. All Elite Wrestling Dynamite? Yeah, you're going to watch Dynamite on Wednesday night? No, I'm going to watch AEW on Wednesday night. Just like I'm watching NXT on Wednesday night. I'm watching AEW on TNT. I don't even know why they needed a name for the show. But Wednesday Night Dynamite sounds better than AEW Dynamite, just for the simple fact that it rhymes. So we'll see what they do. October 2nd, TNT, 8 p.m. That is the debut of AEW. We went over the lineup before. Finally, guys, we're going to end with some AEW. AEW's Tag Team Title Tournament. I'm not mentioning the G1 because the G1 didn't happen in the United States outside of maybe 1 or 2 nights. 1 night, I believe. 2 nights, whatever. AEW is having the Tag Team Title Tournament. It's going to be the best tournament of the year because I love tag team wrestling, and I think this is going to just really showcase how important tag team wrestling is to a wrestling company. Now, they have announced the brackets for the tournament. As you guys will see here, cue it up. There you go. There is the World Tag Team Championship Tournament, folks. There you go. Get a look at it. Young Bucks, Private Party. That's happening on October 9th. Lucha Brothers versus the Jurassic Express of Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. The Dark Order got a bye. They beat the Best Friends at the last show. Dark Order is in the semifinals. So the Best Friends are back in the tournament, which I don't really understand why the Best Friends lost to the Dark Order, only to be put in the tournament again in the first round, this time against SCU. Now, I'm sure that AEW has another tag team that they could have put in here. They could have put Angelico and Jack Evans. They could have gave us LAX, right? But the Best Friends are here, and that's the only negative, well, the only downside I see to this tournament. The fact that they just lost to the Dark Order. The Dark Order received a bye by beating them, and here they are in the first round again. What did they do to get into the tournament to even get another opportunity? So yes, just like WWE, I'm going to zing AEW on some of their logic gaps when it comes to their creative. Now, I do have news. We're going to go right back to that. I do have news on the Tag Team Title Tournament, though, and this is going to be somewhat of a spoiler, so if you guys don't want to hear this, I'm not sure that you really give a shit, but either way, this is going to hopefully give you a better idea of where AEW is going with their tournament. Now, one side of the bracket, like I said, features Bucks versus Private Party and Lucha Brothers versus Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy the Jurassic Express. The other side clearly was SAU Best Friends, and the Dark Order receives a first round bye. Having the Lucha Brothers and the Young Bucks almost seems like a lock in the eyes of many wrestling fans, but the ladder match is a blow-off. They're not going to meet again for a very long time. That ladder match at All Out was a blow-off. So I don't know by just that alone, that aspect alone, why you would do that match again. So you're probably either looking at the Young Bucks versus the Jurassic Express, or you're looking at Private Party versus the Lucha Brothers or the Jurassic Express. I don't think the Lucha Brothers and the Young Bucks will meet in the semifinals just based off what happened at All Out. That ladder match and that type of match and the match that we got, blow off for these two teams. Now, having the Lucha Brothers and the Young Bucks seems to be two of the teams in this tournament that are odds-on favorites. LAX is not in the tournament. They're not going by LAX. Impact is not allowing them to use the LAX name. I believe if you go to their social media, they tend to use the Pride and Powerful name. So I think that is what their name is going to be if I was to make a logical assumption here. Now, it's possible that they follow up their attack on the Lucha Brothers at All Out and cost the Lucha Brothers a match at some point, being that they have history, which would be logical. I could see that happening. I could also see them attacking the Young Bucks. I really could. Play off the LAX private party, where they came from, the House of Glory school. You know? Have them just go out there and be like, Young Bucks are considered the best tag team in the world. Now that we're here, no, they're not. So they have a gripe. They have a reason to go out there and make a name for themselves off of the Young Bucks, because a lot of people say LAX is the best tag team on the planet. They want to make that name against the Young Bucks. Now, Tony Khan and the Young Bucks have promised to put an emphasis on tag team wrestling. Clearly, we've seen that already, and with this tournament, we're about to see it even more. Now, one of the favorites in this tournament is the Lucha Brothers, but there could be an issue with that. Speaking on Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer noted that Phoenix and Pentagon already have a booking on the night of the semifinals, which very well could mean that they will not be advancing to the semifinals of this tournament. Now, I don't know. It's just as easy as it is to say it. Lucha Brothers could back out of that. AEW can order them not to make that appearance and for them to show up on TNT. But the Lucha Brothers, as far as I'm concerned, are still going to be making their independent dates and finishing up what they need to do throughout the year and then go full-time with AEW. So it could be a sense of, yeah, they could back out of the date, but why would they do that? I don't think they're in the business to do that, and I don't think they would do that, being that they're so giving. Or they could advance to the semifinals and we could be wrong, and they could pull out, and AEW could order them to be here and not there. But Dave Meltzer mentioned that they do have a booking on the night of the semifinals, which means that the Jurassic Express could eventually make the semifinals against who? I don't know. I really don't know. I think if the money is on a tag team to be built up the right way, that the Young Bucks want to put over the Jurassic Express. Because they already put over Private Party. They've put over Private Party for weeks on end now. Private Party were handpicked by the Young Bucks, and they are going to continue ascending the heights. The Jurassic Express are the most over tag team in all of AEW. So putting them in the ring with the Young Bucks and have them get a major victory on the way to a tag team championship could eventually land them the tag team titles. I think, as far as what is going on with the tournament, if you look at the bracket, I'm going with the Young Bucks to beat Private Party. Now, Private Party lost to the Young Bucks at High Intensity 8 in the NYC Arena at House of Glory. But this is national television. Private Party is going to be put over. I don't think they're going to go over. I think the Young Bucks are going to advance to the second round. You don't want to make your executive vice presidents look completely weak in this instance. I think they're going to advance to the second round, and they will go up against the Jurassic Express. I think the Dark Order and Best Friends are going to have a rematch. That's what I think is going to happen. And I think the Dark Order is going to go on to the Tag Team Tournament Finals. I think they put too much time and too much effort and too many creative booking decisions to get these guys over for them to make the semifinals and then lose. I think the Dark Order are going to the finals. Because I think it works. If the Jurassic Express beat the Young Bucks and they're sitting in the finals with the Dark Order is so hated. And I don't know if they're legitimately hated because people don't like them, they don't understand them, or they're just good at what they do. But they're a damn good fucking tag team. And the fact that the Dark Order is so despised and they're not wanted, and people don't understand why they keep winning. But if you put them in the finals and you give them that sense, if you give the fans that sense that, you know what, the Dark Order is going to pull it out. They really are going to go all the way with the Dark Order. And you put the Jurassic Express in that babyface role against a team that nobody likes, they're going to be that much more over for it. And when the Jurassic Express win the Tag Team Championships in AEW, it's going to be a crowning moment in professional wrestling this year. They are so over that I don't understand why you wouldn't even think they are the Tag Team Champions to start AEW out. Now, I understand that heels are more than likely the ones to get the titles. You know, I could see them giving it to the Dark Order and have the babyface team chase. But I don't think that this is the case in this instance. I think you go with the most over team. You go with the most over team. I don't want to sit here and worry about babyface or heel. I think you go with the most over team and you strike while the iron was hot. There was nobody more over than the Lucha Express at All Out. They are the most over team in all of AEW. And if you don't strike with them, then I think this opportunity might be gone. Because it's not going to feel the same if it happens 3, 4, 5, 6 months from now. I'm going with the Jurassic Express. They're going to be your new AEW Tag Team Champions, and I think they're going to beat the Dark Order in the finals. You can't have the Bucks win the tournament because then it's just going to go right back to the social media fucking gripe. Oh, look, the executive vice presidents are giving themselves all the titles. You don't want to have that as a lingering fucking cloud over AEW. Cody's already getting a world title shot. People are complaining, oh, look, Cody put himself in the world title match. But people aren't thinking. Kenny Omega's losing. You know, he's not really looking all that strong. He just lost the Pac. And he hasn't really been that good in a singles role as far as wins and losses go. And Adam Hangman Page just lost to Chris Jericho. You can't have them win all the time. I'm not gonna sit here and say that they can't win ever. Yes, the Bucks are gonna be AEW Tag Team Champions. It's an inevitability. Yes, Kenny Omega's gonna be the AEW World Champion. It's gonna be an inevitability. But you're starting out. They all are already made men. They're over. They don't need championships to define their success. Their success, their championship, is AEW. Now they're in the business to get others over. And when you start getting others over and you make real stars, Kenny, out of everybody on that roster, then the statement that you said earlier, or this week I should say, the one that I read earlier about what you said, that real star statement might start looking a little bit more true. They got to get new guys over. There's no better team than the Jurassic Express. Guys, I'm getting out of here. Thank you guys so very much for all your support. Hit that thumbs up on the video. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206. That's on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you guys also support the Patreon. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. And if you guys want to support the podcast via the sponsors, audibletrial.com/offthescript and harrys.com/script. If you guys missed any of the videos this week, description is where you need to look. Everything you need is linked down there. I'll see you guys on Saturday. I got more news concerning WWE and Brock Lesnar, Kofi Kingston, and Vince McMahon ordering a burial of Cedric Alexander. We'll talk about that on Saturday. Until then, guys, thank you so very much. Hit that thumbs up, and I'll see you on part 2 right here on Off the Script. See you then.